Cardoso.
You almost spelled that right. You almost pronounced that right. Almost. Rui.
Rui.
Yeah. Rui Cardoso.
Rui Cardoso.
Oh, well done.
Okay. So, and you're from CivTech,
Yeah.
as you can see here. I don't want to go into too much detail other than to thank CivTech for being our sponsor this evening. I hope it will be the beginning of a very rewarding and long-term relationship.
Cheers.
We all like beer and we all like pizza. So, over to you.
All right.
Round of applause, quickly.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Well, I'm here, as Simon mentioned, to talk about CivTech. CivTech is, as you can see, a Scottish Government project and is set to kick off in the summer of 2016. My name is Rui Cardoso, as Simon kindly introduced me, and I come from the Digital Directorate of the Scottish Government, and the pilot that we're setting up is set up to drive innovation into public sector. So CivTech ties together the role of civic challenges rather than prescriptive tenders, the role that SMEs and startups can have into driving innovation into public sector, the role that new procurement legislation has in terms of governments all over Europe, which I'll come on a little bit later, and the role that CivTech will have in the middle of all of these innovative revolution. So, to start off the project, we started to think about what's our mission. So our mission is to harness, this is not easy to say either, our mission is to harness new technologies to drive daring and innovation into the civic world, and so produce a more prosperous, just, open and equal society, and make people's lives better along the way. And to start the project, we started with 7 hypotheses. The first one, as I mentioned, was that governments may be not always in the best position to know what's innovative, what works for the citizen, what should be done in terms of the public sector remit. So why don't we pose open questions in the form of challenges rather than a specific tender procurement mechanism? Second hypothesis is governments can potentially deliver better services by harnessing young, innovative and hungrier companies rather than contracting every single time with the big companies to deliver these big projects. Third one is the new procurement rules, which I'll come on to later. Fourth is that with appropriate support from governments and public sector and with citizen input, SMEs can build innovative civic solutions. Fifth, that public sector challenges are potentially the same all over the world, and if you're solving a public sector challenge in Scotland, chances are you're going to have a market elsewhere. Sixth is a challenge sponsor working through the CivTech innovation flow is the best mechanism to deliver this, which I'll explain later on. And the seventh is that a public sector acceleration collaboration space will facilitate the cross-pollination of innovation through different sectors to drive this innovation in the heart of the public sector. So how will this work? This looks a bit complicated, but I'm going to talk you through this. First thing to have in mind is the challenge sponsor. They are crucial to resolve flow. Challenge sponsors are the NHS's, SEPA, Transport Scotland, Scottish Government itself. What the challenge sponsors do is they set the challenge. These are the multiple challenges public sector has, which we're not scarce of. This is the stage that we're at the moment. We're collecting challenges, we're going to different public sector organizations, and we are very close to this target. We're going to go live on the 9th of June with 6 to 9 challenges. Then we want solutions from anyone. This could be from a big business, this could be from a citizen that thinks they have an ideal solution for this problem. This could be from a group of students that think they have this new technology that they will be able to deliver. This could be from a startup that has this product that will be a perfect fit for this public sector issue. So this could be coming from anyone. Then we run a selection process, which I'll explain a bit more in detail the next stage. But we come to one winner per challenge. So at this stage, we'll select one winner per challenge. Imagine 9 challenges. We'll have 9 teams coming into an accelerator, which will be located in Edinburgh. Can't really reveal where yet, but we're close to announce. For 100 days, where the participant teams, or the winner teams in this case, will work with the challenge sponsor and co-design with the citizen to deliver these solutions into a product, with the view that at the end of the 100 days period of product development cycle, there's a minimum viable product. And this could be 5% of what the total solution might be, 10%, 90%, it doesn't matter, but it works and it's functional, and we can work on it and release it and see the citizen's reaction, see if it works for the citizen, reiterate it, pivot maybe, and have a service that works for everyone. Our last hypothesis is that if you are solving, like I said before, if you are solving a challenge in Scotland, is there a market for you elsewhere? We'll help you find out. So in terms of one more thing on the accelerator part, normally in private sector accelerators, they will listen to your idea, you'll pitch in, they like your idea, they bring you in, they'll give you 15,000, 20,000 pounds, and they'll take you 12% of your business. We're the government, we're not in the business of taking business. We'll give you the seed funding, but you keep 100% of your IP, and we'll take none of the equity, because our intention is to give you the seed funding to then commercialize your business wider. So in terms of money and in terms of timelines, how will this work? So this is the stage that is going to launch on the 9th of June. All challenges will be advertised through multiple channels, but all solutions will have to be submitted through PCS, Public Contract Scotland. And this is going to go for 4 weeks after 9th of June. Then, after the deadline, we'll have a 3-week selection period where our team will sift through all the solutions and reduce them to 6 potential solutions, have an interview with each of the teams that applied for these solutions, and then take 3 forward to the exploration stage. At this stage, this is the stage that the procurement mechanism starts. So this is where the money starts to get involved. So after we have the 6, we interview them, we select the 3 best ones, and we will pay £2,000 per each of the teams for 2 weeks worth of work. These 2 weeks is for three main reasons. Challenge sponsor needs to work with different SMEs or startups or whatever the business is to see if they have chemistry with them, if they will be able to work together to deliver this solution, to see if the solution is actually viable and it was just good on paper, and to see if this team actually has the skills to deliver this solution, or if not, if they have a plan to get them. After the 2 weeks, there's a decision from the challenge sponsor on which one to take forward to the accelerator 3-month period. This will be, as I mentioned before, co-located in Edinburgh, and the assignment of a team, if it's an established SME, or if it's a startup, a relocation of the team to the building that we're going to set up is mandatory, because we want this cross-pollination of different skills answering public sector challenges. And we'll pay £15,000 to the winner team. This will be for the 3 months, divided into 3 monthly tranches of 5,000, with, if you meet the deliverables at the end of the month, then you're through to the next stage and the next tranche of money is released. The idea is that at the demo day then, you'll have an established relation with a challenge sponsor. You'll have an MVP, something that works. So then our work here as CivTech is done, and this newly created startup or this SME will continue negotiating with a challenge sponsor to actually deliver the full functionality of the solution. The way we're doing things in terms of money, and because this is a pilot, and we're testing new procurement rules, we're testing a new flow, we're testing how to drive innovation in public sector altogether, we're putting a cap of 106k on every contract. So this means that this 2k per each of the 3 teams, 6k, 15k gets you up to 21k. It's all a part of the same contract. And at the end, around 85k to negotiate further development of these solutions. So, as I mentioned before, 9th of June, challenges will be out there. We'll announce them through our partners, through our Twitter, at CivTech Scotland, and on Public Contract Scotland. And the challenges we have gathered so far, I can't really announce them because that would be a little bit illegal, but we've got some in environmental, some in the health sector, some in cybersecurity, potentially one in justice, food policy, and transport tourism. So if you want to know more, here's my contact details. And thank you.
Thank you, Rui. So, essentially what you are doing here is an open innovation program where you are opening up a large organization, in this case it's the government, to external input.
Yeah.
And particularly large corporates have been very, very bad at doing this. You know, they sort of seem to think because they're multi-million or multi-billion-dollar companies that they have an R&D department, they've got an exclusive kind of franchise on good ideas. And it's only really now they're starting to get enlightened and say, yeah, we may well have 100 people or 1,000 people or 10,000 people in our R&D department, but we could still do with actually reaching out externally to our end users potentially, to entrepreneurs, to anyone, to say, here's the innovation challenge, come up with a solution. And what we're seeing more and more is people coming up with solutions that big corporates and government have not been able to solve.
Exactly.
And they're school kids, they're PhD students, they're very kind of, in some cases, normal people, and they just come forward with a breakthrough idea. So I think this approach is absolutely spot on in terms of what this country needs. And it seems like you have a really great process for filtering and getting through to potentially finding solutions to a lot of these big problems that you're not willing to make or able to make public yet, but pretty soon we will. But you're saying they're in justice, they're in ecology, they're in what else? What other?
It was environment, it was health, it was health data, transport. So something about a big work on the A9. They want something over there.
So congestion obviously is a bugbear for many people. There must be a better way to notify the public, to get people to engage in the process of spotting, I don't know.
Couldn't possibly comment.
Yeah. Well, we'll come to it. Questions. Let's open this up. Go ahead.
I think this is one of the coolest ideas I've ever heard of.
Thanks.
I think it's...
That's quite an endorsement.
Yeah, I heard about it a few months ago and I decided then I'm definitely going to try and...
Are you an entrepreneur? Are you up for solving some of these ideas?
Something like this, yeah, absolutely.
Great.
I would like to know if this kind of thing has been done before by government.
Sort of.
Sort of.
The process is very well trodden.
I'm going back into.
Corporates have been using this open innovation process.
I think setting challenges has been done by most governments. Getting potential solutions have been done by most governments. Is after this that governments don't really know what to do. Like we have this idea, but how we implement it, and what about procurement, what about policy, what about the implications in the systems that we already have? Because there's never been a mechanism to deliver this. And to be honest, in Scotland, the procurement rules that allow for this to happen have come into action 3 weeks ago. So this is all new in the sense that we're putting everything together, but setting challenges is not new, getting solutions is not new, accelerators are not new, and internationalizing products are definitely not new. Branding everything together.
Corporate clients have been, either they do it in-house, so for example Wayra, is anyone familiar with that?
Yeah.
It's run by Telefonica. So this is Telefonica saying, okay, let's do this in-house. What we'll do is we will set up an accelerator program. We'll invite a whole bunch of startups to apply for the program that will filter through all the applications, or give them funding, or take off pound of flesh in the process in terms of equity, and then the idea being, from the entrepreneur's perspective, is A, they get an insight into a large corporate, which perhaps they wouldn't ordinarily, get access into, to say, what are the big, problems that you own right now, and having that interaction for being, a small company, a startup, to actually say to Telefonica, I want to build a company around solving that problem, and they've sort of run that entire program. Then you get the famous ones like Y Combinator, for example, or Techstars, that are these kind of innovation machines, and large corporates like the US government, for example, in terms of cybersecurity, they've reached out to run programs to say, can you find startups that are going to help us solve these big cybersecurity issues. Disney's another one, Nike. So they actually give a chunk of cash to these accelerators in the States to run the entire program, in the same way that you guys have been subcontracted by the Scottish Government to run the program, because large corporates, and particularly government, are not particularly great at attracting the interest initially and filtering them through the process. I have heard a few issues, and this is, I think, a risk, potentially a risk, is that you kind of throw out this opportunity to the startup community to say, we're listening, come and solve these problems. You can build a business potentially around solving the problems, because if we've got the problem, there must be other governments or other companies or other customers that will come and buy the service once you've built it. And in some cases, allegedly, got to be careful, this is being live streamed and recorded. But from time to time, I've heard a situation where startups said, the reason why I joined Wayra, or Wyra, however you pronounce it, is that I thought I would get access to the larger corporation. And then you get to try to sell your product, you've been through the accelerator, and they kind of go, no, you're just a little startup. We've got all the solutions in the organization, and we're not going to listen to you. And it may well be that with government, they may sort of say, no, we're not interested in the thing you built, because we've got it, we've got it sorted. So I think there is a danger between the large end user, the government, or a large corporate, interacting with a very small startup company. The two don't tend to get on so well. So interacting those two.
To address
have a solution
to address that, the role of the challenge sponsor, which is the procurer.
So it's more when you get to this day, the further down you have that sort of funnel. We've gone well beyond the MVP. You've been kind of listening to what the government has to say, and you think you've solved the problem, and you've invested a lot of time, effort, blood, sweat, and tears, and then you say, okay, here you go, I built the app. And the bureaucrats in the government go, actually, no, we're not going to use that app. Well, why? Because it means change. We use, Microsoft, software, and your app is iOS, so we're not going to actually integrate it. Yeah. And then, everyone's disillusioned and the whole process breaks down.
To address that, I think the role of the challenge sponsor during the 100 days will be crucial, because to become a challenge sponsor, and this is the public sector part, what we're demanding of people, of organizations to become a challenge sponsor is you have to have the budget to procure, of course, and you have to have commitment to the whole process. So you help at the selection, you help at both selections, you help scope the challenge, you know what you need from the challenge, what data you need from the challenge, and most importantly, we're demanding a weekly commitment from the challenge sponsor. So they will function as somewhat the product owner for the solution being developed, to make sure it fits their needs, and to make sure that at the end of the 100 days they have an interest to adopt this solution.
But you've got the user representative from the government, the cheerleader, saying we want this innovation, we want all these bright ideas, some are around here. And then behind that cheerleader, champion, innovation sponsor, you've got 1,000 or 10,000 or 100,000 bureaucrats who don't necessarily buy into this innovation challenge, and they're the ones that actually, not the champion, the cheerleader going, yeah, we want all this, it's going to be the people in the various kind of government offices who are going to be the end users of this technology, and they may say, no one told us about this.
It's a risk, yeah.
We're not using this flipping app. Are you kidding me? Because I don't know, it's not secure, or like I said, it just usually means some kind of change that they're not willing to make or adapt to accommodate that the solution may very well be far better than what they already have, but it just takes effort, and they're not willing to get on board. So Costa.
I have a question about the selection process. Who are going to be the judges?
So the judges will be a combination of challenge sponsor, so the representatives of the challenge sponsor, our team, and subject matter expertises. And these will be people that the challenge sponsor is picking. These could be academics, these could be researchers that they feel they have a deep knowledge.
Yeah.
Are there going to be be any kind of SME or like business incubators people there?
I can't really say that yet, but yeah.
Who is interested in applying for this program? Who's got a okay?
Am I right in saying the application's already finished? You said May.
No.
June.
Start 9th of June. We're gonna release the challenges, and then 4 weeks from there it will be the application period.
Where's the actual premises? Where are you going to be based?
Can't say that yet.
In Edinburgh, though. Okay, it's going to be in Edinburgh. Edinburgh's not a huge place, I don't think. Ben?
You mentioned this new procurement process. Can you tell us a bit more about that?
Yeah. So the procurement is called pre-commercial procurement, and it works with public procurement innovation, which is two different processes. Pre-commercial procurement is the one we use for the accelerator period, and is for research and development, which allows for the public sector to work with more than one partner, and then there's drop-off points every stage. So you can start working with, we decided to work with 3 and then 1, but you could potentially start working with 10 and then 5 and then 2 and then 1. And the different tranches of money are set just because this is done by the European Union to drive innovation in public sector, and innovation is risky. So you don't want to commit to 100K when you just have an idea. So the idea that we have breaking points and that we set the limit at 100K makes public sector more willing to do this. And the fundamental change of procurement is that now we're not demanding 3 years books from the companies, the 3 years finances. We're not demanding the companies to have worked with public sector before. This is open to everyone, even if you're not an SME or a startup. At this stage, you can literally be an individual with an idea. The idea is that from this point, or starting on this point, there will have to be some sort of entity. This could be a sole trader. Does that answer the question?
Yeah, no, it's just, I suppose just to, is that also some new legislative thing that's happened?
Yeah, the pre-commercial procurement has been used in England in a couple of projects, the SVRI projects on diabetes, and but it's never been used in Scotland, so we're testing it for the first time. And yeah, after the research and development stage that pre-commercial procurement apply, then the public sector organization, if they like the solution, they can issue a second tender for the full solution through public procurement of innovation. But because the SME has been involved since the beginning in the solution design and research and development and MVP development and testing, they will most likely be awarded the second phase of procurement as well.
What I love about this approach is that I suppose traditionally you've got the usual kind of suspects, behind the scenes, tendering and then winning these big government contracts.
Yeah.
And they tend to be very big, clunky, highly bureaucratic corporations. And you read in the papers years later that they've gone way over budget and they haven't quite delivered what was expected, and on, because they tend to use the waterfall approach rather than the kind of approach of MVP and lean and agile that a startup would. And I think doing away with that whole procurement process of getting anyone involved who can step up and solve the process. And like I said, innovation can come from it. I think this is such a healthy and an incredibly efficient way to operate. And I think if you're interested in open innovation, Google the names, Professor Cheeseman or something. Does anyone know? He's one of the kind of the big academic names.
Chesbrough. Henry Chesbrough?
Chesbrough.
Chesbrough.
Spell it for me?
Chevro.
Brook.
GH.
Okay. Cheeseborough. Right, gotcha. So he's one of the, you know, the big kind of advocates and pioneers of the open innovation movement. And if you Wikipedia or Google him, there's some really, really cool stuff. And you know, he was one of the advocates. I mean, it's not, nothing's really new, but he was one of the guys, you know, he just says, you know, break open the locks, you know, share the IP within the company, stop hoarding information innovation as a source of power, just spread it around the organization. And the same goes for organizations in these big tech companies who have been very secretive about IP. They're just saying, just decrypt everything, just put it out there and start interacting with our partners, our suppliers, or end users, because we'll all benefit ultimately rather than being all sort of very Apple-ish and secretive about it. So,
Martin Torzewski, I used to work in private industry, but latterly some involvement with central public sector.
You've been to a few of these, haven't you, Martin?
Yes.
You've been to a few of these, haven't you? Yeah.
What you were saying about the second stage sounds to me, having been through the kind of, sort of heavyweight tendering process that central government demands, or has demanded, sounds as if there might be a risk of it moving a bit further in that direction than what you've described up to that point.
How do you mean? You mean that?
Well, you're saying that there's a second stage of actually getting the approval to go ahead and do stuff once you're beyond the end, once you've reached
Only
the
if
end of
needed.
This sort of stage around?
Yeah, at the
Right.
end of that
So you're
slide.
saying they're like, okay, you've had all the fun and games,
Yeah.
let's give it to the big boys now, and then it just
Yeah,
gets...
or it's open to the organisation or organisations that have been involved to that point, as you said, and theoretically they ought to have a good chance. But can they sustain the burden of the tendering process or whatever bureaucratic hoops they have to go through to get to the next,
So actually it's a
the
good
main
question.
stage?
Yeah,
As we said, we're testing. This is not being used. All I can answer is what I've read from the legislation, and it seems written to favor the SMEs going through the R&D process. How it will actually work, we'll find out. But I think there's a good chance it'll work just because the way it's written. The way it's written is that straight after the R&D testing, straight after the commercial procurement stage, you can issue the tender for the PPI. So no one else will be ready for this tender, apart from the team that has been through the process.
What about the IP that an SME might develop in that part?
Well,
Is
you
that
specifically said the IP resides, which I love.
so a large
that's-
company couldn't.
The IP is 100% belongs to the team that
Great.
been
Because
developed
that's
the
just
solution.
the biggest turn off, and I've been to hackathons and
Yeah.
whatnot where I'm thinking, there's a cash prize for solving this problem. It's great, you know, they're offering so much. And then
For all the
in
IP.
small print, or they have rights for all the IP, or they have a certain big chunk of equity in the vehicle going forward. And just thinking,
We don't
I
believe
don't-
that
I
government
don't think
should
so.
sit on IP.
quite right, absolutely, that's the right approach.
Okay, my next question is then, nobody else will be ready. Is there not scope for things to be challenged at that point then
Yes,
by
absolutely.
the organisations that aren't ready
Absolutely.
by virtue of the way this has worked up to that point?
Absolutely, and the exercise we're going through now, and this is why our colleague here heard us months ago and we're all going live now, it's because we have been doing the research to make sure these are actually innovative solutions. There's nothing in the market to address these solutions. This is new businesses with new technologies. It might not be completely new technologies, it might be a technology that is used here and now we're going to adapt it here, but these companies will be...
I can see all that looking at it logically,
Yeah.
and sensibly, but if another organisation gets wind of the fact that there's something big, that's an opportunity that's being denied them, that in traditional procurement processes would have been a level playing field that nobody could get away with challenging. This, at that point, looks like, from their point of view, for potential losers, it's an unlevel playing field.
That's a good point.
For a large corporation, when you're only talking about
Yeah.
its work, you're going to a procurement process. That's, you know,
Procurement was then things like
you can throw 3 people at it quite easily.
Right, okay. I have no experience of such like.
Sorry, go ahead. Sorry about that.
Yes, absolutely. It's a risk, and it might happen that at the end of the commercial procurement, if there needs to be further development, then there's a risk. But I'm confident that the way that legislation works and the way we've been teaming up the challenge sponsors, and the challenge sponsors are the procurers, and they've been working with us, and they will be working for 3 months with the SME to develop these solutions. So I'm confident that the relationship established there will define that if there needs to be further procurement, because there might not be need, if the solution will be done under this 100,000 contract, then there's no need for second procurement. But if there's a need for second procurement, I'm confident that the relationship they established will guarantee you them to spot for the subsequent development.
Is this life cycle available in detail, or will it only
Not
be
yet.
after the 6th of June?
9th.
9th? Yeah, okay. Right.
Are you up for it, Martin?
Don't know yet. I'll see what the cybersecurity one's about.
But is the money sufficiently enticing? Seems like quite stingy to me. Only 2k. I don't get out of bed for 2k. Not even 15k. Joking. 85, I might consider it. What do you think? I mean, what would be your incentive for doing this? Is it genuinely to do your civic duty and, you know, kind of the intrinsic kind of value of what you're contributing, or is it all about the cash?
Well, it depends on, you know, you wouldn't really have enough resources, you know, thrown into these things, go to the, say, you know, 15k is like.
For 15 weeks work, you do the maths.
Well, my charge is about half of that. Which means that I would be
Don't
able
say that.
to
So
get
it's
a couple
twice
of
that.
more people only.
Okay. So the money, for you at least, isn't a problem. You would be
I
willing
would be
to
able
make
to-
the
I would be able
investment.
To make the investment into
Yeah.
it, but we you know, the sum in mind, you know,
Yeah, yeah.
The question is, in terms of internationalization, what kind of, have you got a team working internationally or any kind of supporting structures available there?
We have been liaising with Scottish Investment Bank and with Skills Development International to work on that piece. It's not fully developed yet, not in the slightest. There's
I know a company called Expand, and what they're doing, they've got a huge, you know, collection of data from open sources and so on in practically every country. And you know, what they're offering is like internationalization. I was just wondering if you have anything in mind or anything similar.
I'll be happy to have a chat with you afterwards.
Because I think, you know, like I said, it's a well-trodden path in terms of, you know, accelerators. When there's a tech boom, there are so many accelerators that come out of the woodwork and co-working space. You know, it's not the gold rush. You know, it's the tools, the picks and shovels that all these companies start to jump onto the bandwagon. Not that I'm suggesting you're doing that at all, of course. But you know, the really, I suppose, top flight accelerators like the Y Combinators and the Techstars, they say it's easier to get into Harvard or Stanford than it is to actually get accepted onto Y Combinator. And when you do get accepted, they take their pound of flesh, as I said before. You know, you are giving away a pretty substantial chunk of equity. But the reason why, of course, people are so desperate to get onto the program is exactly what you just mentioned. It's the access to the mentors, it's the network, and then once you have been accepted on the program, it's the kudos and access to the alumni. Whereas if you were an accelerator that doesn't have that pedigree and track record, you're thinking, why am I giving 10, 15, in some cases 20% of my company if you're not adding any value?
Yeah.
you're just giving me maybe 10, 20, 30 grand's worth of startup funding. I'm not going to separate. And the beautiful thing is you're not taking equity or having ownership of the IP, which is why I think you have the potential of the network by the very fact that you're associated so closely with the government.
Yeah.
So that is a huge advantage. You're giving money, but you're not taking equity.
We're giving a client.
You've got a client from the get-go with a checkbook saying, if you solve this problem, I've got a lot of cash that I'm willing to put in your bank account.
There is a if that, with you, a big corporation came in, you come up with a better solution, they said, ask their lawyers to prepare, for the, future, procurement.
Yeah.
As the engineers to make a beautiful, very well painted and whatever, empty boxes.
Yeah.
And then coming there and saying that, well, but we are a respectable organization.
Yeah, you don't have £5 million worth of corporate indemnity insurance. Like, hello, there are 3 of us. Yes, and you're not ticking the boxes, therefore you can't continue the journey, so we're going to give it to IBM or Logica or whatever.
But
I
if
think
there is
yeah.
a safety net available of, say, some lawyers, who would help to, prepare for this, future procurement, after the pre-commercialization stage, that would probably be helpful.
That's the thing. The 100 days will be for co-development of the product and to go through a series of workshops that will help. Especially if it is a newly established startup that got together to answer this solution, they will need to learn how to grow their business, how to market their business, how to work in the public sector. So there's going to be daily workshops and events through the accelerator, like any other accelerator. But in this case, will be more directed at doing business in the public sector rather than private
I think
sector.
that's a risk strategically as a startup from the get-go to decide, are we creating a product that we're aiming at a consumer market so that potentially thousands, if not millions of individual people will identify with a need and buy our product. Individually, they may be giving us a very small contribution, but overall, we make a lot of money. And you have more flexibility in a sense because you're not relying on a single client. Going the B2B, stroke enterprise, stroke public sector route, you're building a solution that may be so well tailored for the requirements of that one organization that you find it's very difficult to separate all the parts and then reoffer it to, so you're kind of like hamstrung and kind of roadblocked into developing a product, and then you just become, you've got one client. I mean, it's almost like you become a consulting firm. And I think that is a danger. And you see this particularly in fintech, where these fintech apps, they get a big client like JP Morgan. They're like, wow, we've got this huge corporate client. And they keep saying, well, can you build this feature and that thing and make it kind of compatible with our internal systems? You go, yeah, okay. And they're paying for these changes. And then finally, you try to resell the same solution to a competing bank. And they go, it's not compliant with our...
First of all, they send the solicitors to you.
Yeah. And that can be quite a dangerous, I think, strategy. So with this as well, to a certain extent, you may find, you've got a client from day one with a need, with a budget, and you become so locked into that one government department that as a business you can't scale it. It's just simply a feature that you're selling into a department, and there's no scalable business opportunity, in which case you're never going to raise external funding from a VC. So look at it and go, nah, there's no market, no scalable market for this. So
at the 4-week stage, the initial stage, what is the submission that's required in brief, and what are the judges looking for? Is there a set of criteria, or is it just up to them individually?
All of that will be made available.
Right.
well, we could tell
Are
you.
there any insights you have? into
I
the
can tell you
organization?
about the application process.
Okay.
I can't tell you about what we'll be looking for because that will be explained per challenge.
Uh-huh.
But the application process is going to be quite simple. You'll have to create an account on Public Contract Scotland to apply, and then we ask, I think, 3 questions. The idea, 2 pages, explain the idea, technology stack, and proprietary IP you're bringing to the table. That's pretty much all we need to know at this stage, because we're evaluating ideas during these 4 weeks and during the 3 weeks after. Only when it comes to we have a pretty good idea what are the best solutions, then we're going to go into the team, the skills, the roadmap of delivery and all of that. But at that stage is really ideas that we want, because we've realized that if you have a good idea at this stage, even if you don't have a team, you can get a team, you can get skills in. We have partnerships with also the innovation centers. I don't know if you guys are familiar with the innovation centers, but there's Data Lab, there's the Oil and Gas Innovation Centre, Sensors in Glasgow, which looks after sensors. And for individuals that are participating through these and they have a great idea but they don't have a team, the innovation centres will be able to fund a team of students, software developers, designers, to then input into these solutions.
Are they described with KTNs or catapults? Is that an English thing, or is that...
Catapults was English government.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
So what's the equivalent of catapults here in Scotland?
CivTech.
CivTech. Oh, that's you guys. Really?
It's not equivalent. I think we're going a step further.
Yeah, I think you are.
idea
I would say definitely. Yeah.
Well,
So
how many applications are you expecting to receive?
No
and what
idea.
happens
They
if you
don't
get
know.
tens of thousands?
No idea.
They don't know.
If we get tens of thousands, I probably quit.
What's your name?
I'm Peter.
Peter, I think. Get in there fast. I think, it's one of those things where it's untested, it's unvalidated. I think that a lot of the problem solvers are the types of people who are entrenched within, corporates or academia. And it's only until this gets serious validation and traction that people will start coming out of the woodworks. This time next year, you'll probably get 2-3-fold. They're really nimble, agile, responsive, open to opportunity, entrepreneurial types who attend events like this are the ones who are going to be getting the fast track.
Yeah.
So seriously, if you're considering this is a golden opportunity, I'm not saying they pay for the pizza, so what? I'm hugely in favour as a serial entrepreneur in this kind of initiative. It's the best thing that I've seen in these parts so far. It really is the best approach.
As a final note, this is all a pilot. This is all very much testing, like Simon mentioned, and
It could be a flop, right? It could be a massive failure,
Absolutely.
but who
It could.
cares?
It could.
At least they're trying something different.
That's the idea.
That's what I like. I like this.
So remind us again how it's announced, when you actually have the challenges available.
9th of June, Public Contract Scotland is going to have the challenges up on the 9th of June, and we're going to advertise it through our Twitter, CivTech Scotland. Our gatekeepers, Scottish Institute of Entrepreneurship, Scottish Enterprise. I'm getting my acronyms all mixed up.
Follow us on IOT EDI. We'll be retweeting.
And Simon will make sure you'll. But the easiest route will be CivTech Scotland, our Twitter page, and we'll have the links there.
Right. Good. Well, thank you so much. We really appreciate it. Okay, so I think we've got the venue for just a little bit longer. What do you think, Tim? A few more beers and then home?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, well, we'll give it another one.
20
minutes? Okay, another 20 minutes and then